Are you a newcomer to Canada and preparing for a job interview and feeling overwhelmed? In this video, I'll break down the common pitfalls most of the first-time interviewers face in Canada. From inadequate research on the company to asking some insightful questions during the interview, I will be covering it all.
Everyone, welcome to Great Tales. My name is Gautam Tulugu and thank you for watching my channel. If you haven't watched any of my previous videos, I try to bring in content related to HR, careers, life in Canada, and much more beyond that. Your journey, my story.
In this video, you will discover how to present yourself confidently, respond to some tricky questions, and leave a lasting impression on your potential employers. Whether you are a recent graduate or an experienced professional, these tips will come handy for sure. So stay tuned. When it comes to job interviews, newcomers fail to leave that lasting impression with the hiring managers. It's not because they're not qualified, but it is because of the unawareness about common pitfalls that they don't go prepared for. And in this video, we're going to explore the common pitfalls and what you can do in those situations. So stay with me till the end. One of the biggest challenges that I often see in newcomers is lack of preparation. They come to interviews and they don't even do a basic research about the company or the role that they've applied for or being interviewed for, or even for that matter the industry that they're going to operate into. And this lack of preparation often pushes them to the corner and creates this nervousness in them, and that nervousness overtakes the entire situation. With that, the newcomers often tend to feel that pressure, and that reflects their entire interview performance from the start to the end of it. It also causes them to stumble on their words, they forget their critical information, and most often I've seen them freezing up in the interviews. And the second mistake that most often the newcomers face is the lack of confidence. It's not that they don't have the skill set or the experience. The lack of experience projects them into a harmful situation where they project themselves as uncertain and unconvincing to the situations that the interview panels ask them for. And this cannot be ignored. Most of the newcomers think that okay, they carry a wealth of experience and they walk into the interviews assuming that the hiring manager is going to go easy on them and select them. And especially the newcomers or the new graduates also come with the perception that the hiring managers will go easy on them for some sort of a roles. So in reality, that's not what happens. The third largest mistake is failing to research about the company. This shows a lack of interest in the company and a lack of willingness to learn, of course. It's so important to know the company's vision, the values, what they do, what kind of achievements they have accomplished in the last few years, even before you walk into the interview room. Another mistake which is linked to this is not preparing for common questions like tell me about yourself, what do you like to do in the next 5 years, why you want to join this organization, what is that you bring as a value addition to the role. So these could be some of the basic questions that you may anticipate in the interview, no matter whether the organization is small or large. So go prepared with some of these basic questions with a sort of a script or a storytelling to it. I think that's where it's going to help you and give you the boost up and the confidence in case those questions come up your way at the very beginning. They'll help out to speak since you're already prepared and use out, and your nerves will be normal when you show that confidence in your body. Because especially when when you get a question in an examination, something that you just read an hour before the examination, so you would be so excited and would be fresh in the mind. So imagine that kind of situation where the question comes up in the interview. So I'm sure that leaves out a lot of pressure off your plate, and what are the questions that come after that? I'm sure you're going to crack it. From the Canadian context, body language is so important, and that's one of the problem areas where poor body language is one of the biggest mistakes that the newcomers make in the interview process. More especially when you're avoiding that eye contact when you speak to, whether you're attending the interviews in a virtual environment or an in-person interviews. If the eye contact is so important, especially when you're responding to the person, you have to look to eye to eye, and if it's a panel interview, try to engage with them by looking towards each of the persons that are there in the room. Especially in the interview process, some of the newcomers don't come prepared to ask any sort of questions. So you can when you are especially coming into virtual interview or in-person interview, I think you should at least have some basic questions prepared. I'm sure you know what you're walking into, what sort of role they're interviewing for. I think there are plenty of questions that are available online. You can prepare and try to bring in some unique questions into the place so that they know that you are curious about the position and you have done some research and you're showing that excitement and enthusiasm in the position. And that's where some of them lack to display that enthusiasm and fail to crack the interview. And here, if they don't find you to be genuine, the interviewer may assume that you're not committed to the position. It's so essential for you to go display your interest and your curiosity to the role and why and how you can contribute to the organization's success and how well you fit into the role. That's so important because you're competing tens and hundreds of them. So why you, I think that emphasis has to be a clear differentiator between you and a different person. So typically you are selling your role. To summarize the top mistakes: failing to research about the company, preparing for common questions, poor body language, and showing their enthusiasm in the interview process are some of the top mistakes that the newcomers make, which pushes them behind the interviews and cracking the dream job in Canada. By avoiding these common mistakes, I'm sure you can easily go prepared and crack that interview and land into the dream job. And if you had any sort of disasters or interview experiences, whether it's a good or a bad, please put it up in the comments, and hopefully you would keep a watch on these mistakes in your next interview and prepare well and crack that one-shot job. Thank you for watching Great Tales, and I'll see you in the next one.